Only two NBA teams in history have been granted the type of access that the Grizzlies will get on March 23rd when they play the Brooklyn Nets on ESPN. I'm going to tell you all about it. ESPN is going all access with the Grizzlies, and I got all the details of that information coming up on Locked On Grizzlies.
Locked On Grizzlies, your daily Memphis Grizzlies podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Grizzlies. I am your host, DeMichael Cole. Today I'm riding solo. The main man, Sean Coleman, is off today, but welcome back. It's a great time of the year. We're getting closing in. The Grizzlies are playing some really good basketball. They just had the great win over the Pacers, and we talked about, just that big performance and everything that went behind that, and, the homecoming for Desmond Bane. I actually wrote a story on commercialappeal.com with a little more detail in terms of he is so important to that Richmond, Indiana area, which is about an hour away, about an hour and a half drive from Gainbridge Fieldhouse, the home of the Indiana Pacers. He's so important to that community that some local business owners got together, bought 52 tickets for local chaperones and kids of nonprofits, for nonprofits, like Boys and Girls Club of America. And they basically, chartered buses and paid for everything for these kids to get this experience. And from everything I heard from the people, it was a great experience for the kids. Desmond Bane took pictures with everyone afterwards, told them how thankful he was. And, it was a great experience, but you can read more about that on commercialappeal.com. But welcome back to Locked On Grizzlies. This podcast is available everywhere. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Wherever you get your podcasts, you can find Locked On Grizzlies. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you download, make sure you leave a 5-star review and all of that good stuff. But the Grizzlies made some history. The news came out yesterday. I actually dropped the news myself on commercialappeal.com, being, that's my other job, being the beat reporter for the Memphis Grizzlies, covering, the Memphis Grizzlies at the commercialappeal.com. But the Grizzlies have made some really big history, and we've had this whole conversation, right, about this team and their relevance in terms of their national relevance, how they appeal to the national audience, how much attention are they getting. I think that conversation's over now. That conversation over. ESPN is about to roll out the red carpet on this game on March 23rd against the Brooklyn Nets, and it's about to be coverage like you've never seen in one day for the Memphis Grizzlies. So some of the details include, from 6 a.m. Sports Center all the way up to the Scott Van Pelt show. ESPN is going full on behind the scenes. We're talking, they're going to give you access to workouts, film sessions, practice video, and then they're going to mic up players. They're going to mic up the coaches and everything in between. They're going to have players. They're going to come on some of the shows. You got the NBA Countdown show, the NBA Today show. Both of those shows will be shot actually on site in Memphis. And I believe the NBA Countdown Countdown show actually will be shot inside the FedEx Forum. So it's hard to put in words how big of an opportunity this is for Memphis. This is the first time that ESPN has done this full day of programming with this exclusive all access for an NBA team since 2018. In 2018, they did it for the Toronto Raptors. In 2017, they did it for the Philadelphia 76ers. Those are the only two teams who have had this experience before. It's going to be all day access. And the irony in it all is, John Morant, right? The Grizzlies, January 26th, they were removed off of national television. They had that game against the Spurs, and it was replaced by a Miami Heat New York Knicks game. And Ja Morant was one of the players who came out. And, he said, shout out to ESPN. They played that game, and he had sort of a chip on his shoulder, and he made sure to mention ESPN after the game. And these Grizzlies, they're a young team, and I think people just have to remember that they love playing on national TV. That actually means something to them. A lot of the older vets who've been around for a long time, it's special, but with these guys, it seems like it just means a little bit more. And they talk about it. Jaren Jackson has talked about, national TV games, being able to have his family, back home, and his grandmother to be able to watch his games and things like that. So it's a big deal for these guys. So once you factor all of that in, ESPN is laying out the red carpet. So in my conversations with people who are, help put this together, it actually came together in the last month or two, which is pretty on brand because, we talked about Ja Morant, giving a shout out to ESPN at the end of January. And then in February, he went on Instagram Live at the beginning of All-Star Week. And he kind of, said he campaigned for ESPN to put more of the Grizzlies games on TV. So there's a lot to take away there. But overall, this opportunity is going to be great. And one thing that I failed to mention so far is it's a game against the Brooklyn Nets, right? Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, stars, Ben Simmons storyline. He probably won't play in that game, but the storyline is still very alive. But ESPN made sure they let me know that the Nets had very little to do with this decision. Yeah, that's the game and that's the ESPN game, but this was more about the Grizzlies, the engagement that they're bringing in, and just how relevant what they are doing is on a national level. And also mentioned in my story, I made note to point out one more thing, and that's, with Nielsen's ratings, the Grizzlies actually have been a top 3 market for the last, I believe, 10 or so seasons in terms of local markets with ESPN. So there's a narrative there, about the Grizzlies and, the whole small market thing and, the viewership numbers won't be. Well, actually, Memphis has been one of the top local markets according to Nielsen's official ratings. And actually, in the last 2 years, that's this season and last season, Memphis is number 1. So we all know that. I mean, Memphians know that Memphis is a basketball city. I am a Memphian myself, born and raised here. I know how much my people, these people love basketball. So that's no surprise to me, but that probably is a bigger surprise to people on the national level. But ESPN is bringing out everyone. Stephen A. Smith is going to be here. Hubie Brown, former Grizzlies coach, is going to be on the call with Mike Breen, who said, the Grizzlies, if they play the way they've played so far this season at home, you're going to hear a couple bangs and Breen's signature phrase and put it in and things like that. But yeah, Jalen Rose, Kendrick Perkins. Kendrick Perkins has been one of the biggest, advocates on national TV for the Grizzlies and what they've done this season. So he's going to be in town. Michael Wilbon's going to be in town. Malika Andrews is going to be the sideline reporter at the game, and she's going to host NBA Countdown. They're bringing out all of the stars, most of the stars. That just shows you how much this game means in terms of this day. The Grizzlies have a full day of programming. We're talking 6 a.m. Sports Center all the way up until Scott Van Pelt show. So the film sessions, the workout videos, all of these things will be periodically shown throughout the day, as well as some player interviews. They're going to go behind the scenes with one player and do sort of a day in the life type thing, as well as towards when Scott Van Pelt does his show, then you'll hear some of the mic'd up conversations. So this is some access that you probably won't get anywhere else. So ESPN is rolling out the red carpet, and it's it's just a credit to the Grizzlies. It's a credit to how, this team has really, just taken on its own relevance on a national level. The Grizzlies, I've talked about this time and time again, where the grit and grind is forever stamped in history. I mean, people will always remember the grit and grind and what they did for Memphis, but that was more of Memphis's team. I feel like this is Memphis's team, but this team has that national appeal. When they play on TV, people from California, New York, Texas, Florida, Alabama, it doesn't matter. People want to see this team play. So just, keep tuning into the Grizzlies. They've been a healthy team so far, but speaking of healthy, let's talk about Athletic Greens, because Athletic Greens is a very healthy replacement for the vitamins that you're probably taking in the morning. And put it simple, all you need is one scoop in a cup of water of Athletic Greens, and you're absorbing 75 high quality vitamins, minerals, probiotics, and it's going to help start your day on the right path. So you don't need all those pills that you could be taking in the supplements and all of that. Just, invest in this all-in-one nutritional insurance with Athletic Greens. They have over 7,000 five-star reviews. So they're stamped. They're recommended by professional athletes. And again, I'm going to tell you that this professional journalist right here is recommending them too. But we're going to make it easy for you. To make it real easy for you, Athletic Greens will give you a free year of supply of immune supporting vitamin D. So you can get 5 free track packs with your first purchase as well. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.nba network. So you should take that bet on Athletic Greens, but you should also bet on some of these games on betonline.net. It's March Madness right now, so there's only one NBA game today, and it's the Pistons and Magic, two of the worst teams in the NBA by record. So have fun. You can bet on that game if you want to, but the money is in March Madness. BetOnline has you covered with all of the games, and the Memphis Tigers are a 3-point favorite today against Boise State. On the money line, they're minus 160. So that's projected to be a really tight game. What about the Tennessee Vols fans out there? I know in Memphis we have a lot of Tennessee graduates, and locally as well. I'm a Tennessee graduate. Tennessee is an 18-point favorite against Longwood tomorrow. So if you want to put some money on Tennessee to take care of business and do so in convincing fashion, the opportunity is out there as well. How about the Ja Morant fans? Murray State. Ja Morant has been advocating for Murray State and what they've done so far this season. Only 2 losses and 30-plus wins. They've been one of the best stories in college basketball, but they're in a sneaky matchup against San Francisco. Murray State's the 7 seed. San Francisco is the 10 seed. Murray State only a 1.5-point favorite on BetOnline. So go check out some of those March Madness bets, but you don't have to just, it doesn't have to be just March Madness. Hockey, we just mentioned the NBA, boxing, UFC, MMA, whatever you want, BetOnline has you covered. So go to betonline.net, make those bets, and go make some money. Well, with the Grizzlies, they've been really good, this season. They've been very good. And one thing that I've noticed just watching is how, national media has picked up on it. And I remember seeing in January, Chris Broussard came out and said, the Grizzlies are legit. It was during the 11-game win streak, and everyone was taking notice at that point. He came out and said the Grizzlies are legit. So at that point, I thought, the Grizzlies had earned Chris Broussard's respect. He's one of the more popular guys. He's been doing this a long time, one of the most respected guys when it comes to NBA media. Well, Chris Broussard on their Fox Sports station came out and basically said, the good things about the Grizzlies. He likes the team. He respects them. He thinks they're good. But he said that the Grizzlies are no threat to the Warriors. No threat to the Golden State Warriors. Now, I get it. I actually get it. Golden State is Golden State. And he did make sure that he said Golden State when they're at full health. That means Steph Curry healthy, Klay Thompson healthy, Draymond Green healthy, and quite frankly, yesterday against Boston was the first time we seen that trio play together in 1,005 days. And Steph Curry left that game with left foot soreness. So we'll see, what his availability will look like going forward. But let's get back to the point here. Are the Grizzlies a big threat to the Warriors? I mean, I think so. I've said it multiple times. When you talk about picking a winner in that series, I can't go wrong with you picking Golden State to win that series. But I've said it time and time again. The Memphis Grizzlies match up with the Golden State Warriors as well as any team in the Western Conference. That includes the Phoenix Suns. The Memphis Grizzlies, make sure you hear me, match up with the Golden State Warriors as well as any team in the Western Conference. So let me explain. 3-1 in their last 4 games against Golden State. And there's a formula to this. See, Golden State every season near the top of the NBA in assists. When they had their 5-year run, they were near the top of the NBA. This year, top of the NBA in assists. The ball movement that Steve Kerr brought into that offense, with Steph Curry moving a lot off the ball, Draymond Green and his playmaking steals, as well as Curry commanding a lot of attention, which leads to a lot of, easy opportunities for teammates. Golden State moves the ball extremely well, and that's what their game is predicated on. That's what separated them for a lot of these teams in the NBA over the past 5 years who have been pick and roll dominant. A lot of teams, get their best players in pick and roll, try to find mismatches, whereas Golden State, they're making your defense stink and put you in tough positions. Well, let's put it like this. The key to stopping an offense like that is anticipation, disruption, havoc. So with the Warriors, for example, you watch some Warriors highlights. I kid you not. You go to YouTube right now and look at Golden State Warriors highlights. You're going to see a lot of passes from Draymond Green, Stephen Curry, Kevon Looney, Klay Thompson, where they throw passes to spots. Not necessarily where a player is standing there with his hand, open, calling for the ball. They throw it to a spot where they anticipate a player being. A lot of times we see it with Draymond Green and Steph Curry. Draymond will just throw the ball to the top of the key, and Stephen Curry will end up coming probably off of a pin down, or he'll come around a screen, and the ball will find his hands, and then the shot is going up. That's anticipation. Only a few teams have the type of skill set defensively to stop that. You need players with long arms. You need smart defenders. You need players who wreak havoc. The Grizzlies are the most havoc-wreaking defense right now in the NBA. We're not talking about just guarding your man one-on-one. The Celtics are pacing the NBA right now with what they're doing defensively on that end in those type categories. But the Grizzlies, they lead the NBA in steals. They lead the NBA in blocks. They're at the top of the NBA in loose balls recovered. They're at the top of the NBA in deflections. This team just messes up. Whatever play you plan on running, they mess it up. And that bothers Golden State as much as anybody. So I mentioned those previous 4 games, right? They played 3 times this season. The game before that is the play-in game from last year, where the Grizzlies won in overtime. So the steal numbers from those 4 games, because we talk about anticipation, the Grizzlies' anticipation usually leads to a lot of steals. Here are the steal numbers in the last 4 games for the Grizzlies against Golden State. They had 11 in that play-in game in the win. They had 10 in a loss. They had 17 in a win earlier this season. And they had 14 in another win. So wait, I think I got the numbers mixed up. I think 17 was actually earlier this season, and 14 was in the play-in game. But the point is, in the 3 wins, they have 17, 14, and 11 steals. They have 10 in the loss. All of those are above the seasonal average for the Grizzlies. They lead the NBA, and it's 9.9 steals per game, but 11, 10, 17, 14 in the last 4 games. They mess up what Golden State runs better than anyone because they have DeAnthony Melton, who's top 10 in NBA in deflections. They have Dylan Brooks, who is diving all over the floor. He gets loose balls. They have Brandon Clark. They have Jaren Jackson. They have a lot of guys who will mess up whatever the Warriors try to run when they try to, run those split action things for, Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and all of that. The Grizzlies match up from that perspective better than any team in the NBA. So what's the other advantage to that? Even when they don't get the steal, they disrupt the play to the point where it becomes isolation basketball. If you've watched the Warriors over the past 5 seasons, more times than not, when they lose, the ball becomes stuck and it becomes, sort of an isolation basketball type thing. You go back to Game 7 of 2016 when they lost against the Cleveland Cavaliers. In that game, down the stretch, there was a lot of isolation ball. But the difference when they started to win more in 2017 and in 2018 in the playoffs, when a lot of teams took them out of a lot of their sets and they had to play their isolation ball, is they had what I believe is the best isolation scorer in the NBA in Kevin Durant. So you kind of had the perfect equalizer to that situation. Well, now Kevin Durant isn't on the Warriors anymore. Steph Curry, really good, individual scorer. Klay Thompson, pretty good individual scorer. Andrew Wiggins, he has some tricks in his bags as well. None of those guys, I think, present the threat that Kevin Durant did. And we've seen, last season, play-in, the Grizzlies beat them. The Grizzlies beat them twice. They play again on March 28th. But the point is, for Chris Broussard to say that the Grizzlies are no threat, I just think that was a very dense thing to say. There wasn't much thought put into that because the Grizzlies have been arguably the biggest threat to the Golden State Warriors over the past 2 seasons. So that was I just found that a little weird. But the Grizzlies just going to keep working. I mean, Golden State, they have to figure out this Steph Curry thing, and this 2 seed is up for grabs right now. The Grizzlies have the hold on it, and I think the Grizzlies also have 5 games remaining against playoff teams, whereas Golden State has 6. So it's going to be a close battle for that number 2 seed. And I think Draymond Green said whether Golden State gets the 2 or the 3 seed, I mean, they still can win the NBA championship. So that's that veteran mindset that they have. But let's talk about, some work that you can do on your cars, and that's with rockauto.com. So you keep going to these auto parts stores and you're looking for these parts. And look, I'm just here to tell you, you're not going to find all these makes and models in these small auto parts stores. So you should just go to rockauto.com and you'll find whatever you're looking for. And not only will you find it, you'll find it at a very affordable price. So all you have to do is write "Locked On" in "How did you hear about us" box so they can know who sent you, and you can go take advantage of the low prices and the parts. So the low prices, parts, whatever you need, rockauto.com has you covered. I might have to go take advantage of that myself coming up. But for the last segment, we're going to talk about the Grizzlies and the extra rest that they've been granted. Because this gets lost in the shuffle a lot of times when you're talking about, how a team is playing and things like that. The Grizzlies have been granted a lot of rest going down the stretch of this season, and that's going to impact the way that they play. So we talked about, after that game against the Pacers, 2 days off before the game against the Hawks. And then there's a 1-day gap, and then you play the Rockets. Then there's 2 days off again before that Nets home game that we mentioned earlier. The Grizzlies don't have another back-to-back until the last 2 games of the season. How can they take advantage of that? For example, Ja Morant missed the game against the Pacers with back soreness. And, we all know it's nothing to be concerned about. Taylor Jenkins actually said that it happened. The back soreness came from a fall that Morant had against the Minnesota Timberwolves. And this was all the way back to the first game back after the All-Star break on February 24th. So Ja Morant, he just needed a little bit more rest, and the schedule grants that. Now he got that time off, plus you got the extra days in between on the game. And I expect him to be back and, feeling good against the Hawks. So you get that extra rest for Ja Morant, and not just Ja Morant. How about Dillon Brooks? One thing about him coming back the way he has is there's a wrap-up period. There's a wrap-up period, and Dillon Brooks, he first game around 25 minutes. And the last game was a blowout, but he played around 25 minutes again. I believe it was 26 minutes 2 games ago. He was 24 minutes against the Pacers. So right now he's in that 24, 25-minute range, which is right on par with where you want him. But the extra rest in between days, it's good for him just as he continues to condition himself and get, better acclimated to playing with these teammates. You can break down these film. You got more time to break that down. The Grizzlies have a lot of benefits to how their schedule sets up. We talk about just, in terms of the opponents that play. They have some tough games. You got to play the Nuggets. You got to go to Denver. You got to go to Utah. Play Boston to end the season on the second night of a back-to-back. You start April with a game against the NBA leading Phoenix Suns. It's going to be tough sledding. We talked about that Nets game. They got the Bucks coming up. There are some tough games remaining on this schedule, but the Grizzlies won't have those so-called scheduled losses. Scheduled losses are those games where we often say, they're playing a third game in the fourth day or back-to-back or 4 and 6. Things like that tend to wear players' bodies down. And you have those long West Coast travels and where you only have 1 day off. The Grizzlies' schedule is set up as well as anyone in the NBA from that perspective. So from the perspective of the opponents you're playing, there are going to be some tough opponents, but they'll have some time to get some rest in between those games. And that will be important as anything going down this stretch. You never know, what's going to happen in terms of with these other teams going down the stretch as well, in terms of how much they're going to play these guys and how much the Grizzlies are going to play their guys. But the Grizzlies have working for them. They may not even have to set guys out like that because they're afforded these 2 days off in between games or 1 day off in between games and things like that. A lot of teams still have a couple backs-to-backs left and things like that. So Memphis doesn't have that problem. Memphis does not have that problem. But before you leave Locked On Grizzlies today, make sure you go check out Locked On NBA, where the experts, they're going to be breaking down some of the biggest topics in the NBA, and they do it in less than 30 minutes. So that little trip you take to work or the little morning drive you take to go get you some coffee, or if it's just laying in your bed or however you like to watch Locked On podcast. Locked On NBA, you can get the full landscape of everything that's going on, all of the biggest topics breaking down by the experts. And they're going to do it in less than 30 minutes. But that'll wrap it up for us today here on the Locked On Grizzlies podcast. We appreciate you for joining. And tomorrow, we're going to break down the preview of the Grizzlies game against the Hawks. The Hawks came off of a loss against Charlotte, and the Grizzlies, they've won. They've been winning. They're 2-0 so far on this road trip. So this will be the third leg of the road trip. And, of course, the star matchup will be Ja Morant versus Trae Young. So we're going to break all of that down. So come back with us tomorrow on Locked On Grizzlies, and we appreciate you for joining us. Thank you again. for joining Locked On Grizzlies.